And some of you are so judgmental. When you see a child who's older and still on diaper, you want to lecture the mother and judge the mother on what to do. Why didn't they take the child out of diaper? And sometimes you don't know what the mother has been through. Some of the reasons as to why I am doing these videos, so that you understand the journeys that we had to walk through. Some children even would be potty trained later on in their lives, 6 years and 7 years of age. And there's no mother out there who would want to still buy diaper for a 7-year-old. Hello there, my name is Coach Malebo. I am a trauma-informed life and relationship coach, and over the past 11 years, I've dedicated my life and my gift to helping individuals like you heal themselves so that they can create a life of meaning, a life of purpose, and a life of fulfillment. If you are new to this channel, please remember to click on the subscribe button. Let us grow this community together. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. Remember to like, to comment, and also to share this with your friends and family. Especially now that we have children who have got so many diagnoses, and there are children, there are mothers or parents out there who are feeling like they are alone in this journey. If you know of a mother who has been struggling with a child who has been diagnosed of any other thing, which I'm going to be talking about now, or a mother whose child is not speaking, share this video with them. So today I want us to get into the diagnosis that we gotten after, seeking for help, to understanding why is our child speech delayed even when they're over the ages of 2 and 3. So before we get into that, what I want us to go back to understand the signs, and to different children may be different signs, right? But the signs that I've spoken about last week, if you haven't checked the video, please go ahead and do that. I'm going to recap the signs, and also add one more that I didn't actually speak about. The first sign that I saw from our son was tiptoeing. When he was overwhelmed, he will tiptoe. The second one was covering his ears when there was certain sounds. The third one was not having an eye contact. So he couldn't look at me for a long time. He would just do like this. And even up until now, we still have that issue there and there, but I'll explain later. The other sign was him not being able to use a straw, right? We thought that because he was young, he was a year old, and we thought, children don't know how to use a straw. But now I know that was an indication, it was a red flag, right? The other sign is that he was not able to point. When a child is about 12 months, they should be able to point, even point in the things that they want, right? And the last one, which I didn't mention, was that a child needs to crawl. And medical practitioners will tell you that crawling helps a child with the left brain hemisphere and the right brain hemisphere, or the communication between those two brain hemispheres. So with our son, he did not crawl. He literally was sitting at 6 months, and he started standing somewhere around 9 months, and 11 months he started walking. So we didn't have to wash those things, when children are crawling. We didn't have to do that, and also we didn't think that was a red flag. So if you know of any child who has been going through this, or a mother, please let them know that they are not alone. We are all together in this. And thank you to all the parents who have been reaching out to me to saying, thank you for starting this. We have been thinking that we are alone, but guys, it is a lot of us who are going through this. All right, so let's get to the diagnosis. So we wait for the doctor, who we had to wait at least for 3 months to get the consultation, right? And his name is Dr. Johan Erasmus. He works in the east of Pretoria. He is a neurodevelopmental pediatrician. If you want him or his contacts, please go onto the internet and type in. He works in a hospital, so it's simple. You can locate him, Dr. Johan Erasmus, and he is a neurodevelopmental pediatrician. So we get there. He's an older man, I think 60. If he's young, he's like in his 60s. And when we get there, we tell him what our issue is. Just when we got there, Nkosi just went to a play area, because pediatricians will always have a play area so that children can always play while parents would be speaking to the doctor. And then he started doing a thorough evaluation. And I have to say it, a thorough evaluation, because some people self-diagnose because they're thinking, if my child is not speaking, then they have this and that. Please, with these videos, I'm not insinuating that every child who does not speak then has got the diagnosis that I'm going to be telling you. And also, get a professional help, right? Get professional help. There are people who can diagnose whatever, right? Get professional help. And I think when you get the right diagnosis, then you are able to help your child easier, right? So he did the proper checking. I remember one of the things that I remember is that he took a toy and he was like Nkosi, and called Nkosi like Nkosi, and because Nkosi does not have a good eye contact, then he didn't look. Literally, even you, if I put something like this on your in your eyes, you will want to check what is that thing, right? And Nkosi didn't do that. He just proceeded to looking at whatever that he was looking at. Also, Nkosi, another thing that I didn't specify is that he would be obsessed over certain things. If he has a toy, then he obsesses over it. So when that doctor was doing that, he was looking at his toy. He was not even interested in whatever that doctor was doing. And then he sat us down again and he told us that your child is on the spectrum, is on the autism spectrum. So autism apparently is a spectrum. Yes, it's a pool of things. So your child can be autistic and behave quite differently than my son, right? And when he said the spectrum, he then explained to us which level of the spectrum he is. I know there are so many people who don't want to speak about levels, so there's a high functioning side of the spectrum and there's a low functioning side of the spectrum. And high functioning, meaning that these people are still autistic, but they can function with less support. Low functioning, meaning that they can't function. And the videos that I spoke about in the previous recording that I had I was seeing people who were low functioning. So they were like, low functioning, they needed support. And I know one of or somebody very close to me who even told me when I suspected that Nkosi might be autistic, and she said to me, if he is English, if he is autistic, then it means that he is high functioning, because she has got children who are on the lower side of the spectrum, right? Lower functionings of the spectrum. So the doctor explained to us that Nkosi has got what they call level 2, which is mild autism, right? It is mild, it's not low, it's not also high functioning, it's just in the middle. And the recommendation at the time was that Nkosi must go through a speech therapist. And now we know that Nkosi is on the spectrum, and the doctor said he cannot diagnose Nkosi of ADHD, because you can only do that to children who are 6 years and above. At the time, we didn't get any medication, and I think different cases for different people. It depends on the level of where your child is, because a lot of people would be calling me and asking, did you give Nkosi medication? And I'm like, no, I didn't. And they're like, yeah, I'm not going to also give my child medication. But I don't know, I am a person who doesn't like medication, but also it depends on the cases, the severity of the case, right? Mkosi is mild autistic. The recommendation is that he goes for speech therapist. The doctor has given us a lady who he is working with that would help us with speech development. And then also the other recommendation, which was you can take it, you can leave it, but the speech therapist was like, you need to do this, right? And he said that maybe we can take Nkosi to an autistic crash, because in a specialized crash or specialized preschool, teachers are equipped with knowledge and understanding of what is it that the child needs, right? They've got smaller classes and they are more regulated, because children with autism, they struggle a lot with regulation. We'll touch on that as well. All right, so we're thinking our pockets. Now the medical aid is not going to cover the speech therapy, and if we take Nkosi again to a crash that we pay 7,000, at the time we were paying about 3,000. Now this crash is saying 7,000 for per month. And of course it can be beneficial for him, but we don't know as yet, right? So the best thing that we do is to find a speech therapist. It took me about a month, a full month, to get a speech therapist, and when we got one, I got one from, the lady that was recommended. I never got a hold of her. I didn't even know that speech therapists were so busy. But anyway, I decided to start Google and Google has been my friend, and I'll type speech therapist near me, and I'll call everyone and I'll explain my child is under the spectrum and we want to start speech development, speech therapy. And I got one lady who then referred me to Irene Speech and Occupational Therapy. I want you to write this down, especially if you are a mother who has been looking for this help. Irene Speech and Occupational Therapy, they actually work with children who are within the spectrum. They don't only work with children who are within the spectrum, but most of them work with children who are within the spectrum. So you can take your child there, even though they are not autistic. You can also take your child. I recommend, if the child is autistic, I recommend Irene Speech and Occupational Therapy. We got our lovely speech therapist, Lizelle, who then firstly did an examination, seeing where Nkosi is, because even though a person cannot communicate, there is a way that they can communicate. Some people communicate by crying. I remember seeing this other autistic child, whenever he wanted food, he couldn't speak. The only thing that he did was crying, right? So many children communicate differently. So she was trying to check the level where Nkosi is, and after that, I think she had about 3 sessions with Nkosi, the 4th one. Then she called us and said, you know what, now that I know where your child is, this is where we are going to start. Nkosi didn't have words at the time, didn't have any language. Nkosi was only saying 1, 2, 3, or maybe singing along with Coco Melon or whatever. But words, even constructing a sentence was even worse, right? So after that meeting, she also recommended that we add occupational therapy, because she has seen how those two really help the child, especially if a child is autistic. Now we added occupational therapy into that. You need to know that the medical aid does not cover this, and we are doing it from our pockets. So we decided to sacrifice the crash. I spoke to the teachers. They understood that Nkosi is within the spectrum, and actually after that, a lot of children, they started seeing a lot of children who are in the spectrum, and I was now the person people would contact, where did you go and what and all of this. That is the reason now I'm doing this for the public now, to know about the journey that we have been through for the past 7 years or the past 6 years, right? So now we are sorted with the crash. They are like, we can handle him, we can try, we can do this. And again, Ngozi is getting used to that environment. On the other side, we have now a speech therapist, Lizelle, and by the time we had Karishma, who was this beautiful Indian lady, and later on she went to the UK. And these were the people. Now they had a combined session of speech and occupational therapy. Occupational therapy helps with regulating the child. The speech helps with the development of the child, or of the speech. Now you need to understand, it's not like autistic children don't know how to speak. It is because the brain, how it communicates, right? The brain communicates differently. And whatever that you need to say, if they want to say, I'm hungry, it's not there. So if you feel like you want to go and pee right now, it's your brain telling you that, and the communication goes to the body. So occupational therapy helps a lot with that whatever is in the brain must come here, right? And the regulation, and a lot of more other things. If I had my occupational therapist here, she would have explained it better, right? So Ngozi now, he is it's 2022 now. It's September when he started with occupational therapy, with speech therapy, and October he started with occupational therapy. It took about 8 months for us to see a difference when Ngozi could now say, well, in the past now, when the speech therapist was starting, now he was starting to call us, and because my husband and I call each other babes, then he would say babes as well, and then as well, now he changed from being babes. Now he knew that this is mommy, this is daddy. And one of the things that I wanted so much was that. And then the communication started, and even now Ngozi is speaking. He has got full-blown speech, but sometimes you won't hear him, especially if you are not used to him, because some of the words are not coming out as clearly. But now he can construct a sentence. And not so long ago, actually last week, when I went to for his occupational therapy session, he saw this other boy and said, "Hi, my name is Ngozi, what's your name?" And I was so proud, because that is communication. Now you have to wait for that person to tell you his name, and then that's how you communicate. And this journey has been a journey of 4 years, and we're still on this journey. Even though Ngozi is no longer on speech therapy this year, we stopped speech therapy. One of the reasons was that it was not going the same times. Yes, it was not going the same times with the school, and we had to stop it because now the times were confusing, and we didn't know how we were going to do it. But as well, the money side, for us to also breathe and say, hey, but to wait again, because we're paying for about 4 years now, and now we have another child. But Ngozi now, he is speaking, he can express himself, he can tell you what went wrong. Even though sometimes it's difficult for him, especially if he's too sad and if he's too overwhelmed, right? So I'm going to stop it here, and hopefully next week I'm going to be interviewing my helper. If you got a helper, please let them glue on the screen. And her now, not understanding autism, never had been with a child who's autistic, now having to take care of a child who's autistic. So next week is about that, and then the other week, then we will talk about school and all other things. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, and also to tell your friends and family. And if there's anyone who's got a child who's speech delayed, let them come here and learn. Thank you very much.